Hello and welcome to the preview on Fulhamish brought to you by My Kind of Cruise. My name's Elizabeth and this Saturday we travel to Everton. Later on I'll be chatting to Dave from Falcon Blues TV to look forward to this one. Phew, Fulham come into this one after a win last Saturday against Wolves. It was 3-0 in the end, and yes, Wolves are absolutely terrible at the moment and they were down to 10 men and all of that, but ultimately you can only beat what's in front of you, and Fulham managed to do that very well and very comprehensively. I was really impressed by our performance on Saturday. Even before the red card, I think we wiped the floor with them and dominated in every part of the pitch. And it wasn't a surprise that it was 3-0. If anything, I thought maybe it could have even been more. For me, arguably, this is our biggest win of the season. Obviously, the 3 points are massive in the league after 4 league losses in a row. It means we can look up the table rather than looking down with a bit of concern. But more than that, I think there's a huge psychological impact as well. We'll be able to go to the Hill Dickinson on Saturday with more belief in the system and the players, and also with a bit more freedom. The pressure is taken off by that win, so it has been just really invaluable. That isn't to say that the pressure is off though. This game is a springboard really for Fulham to capitalise on an Everton team that's a little bit wobbly at the moment, to go above them into the table and to really carry forward and push forward that feel-good feeling. In terms of squad, I came on here last week and told you about all the players that would definitely be out. Emile Smith-Rowe, Anderson, Chukwueze, Muniz, Wilson. Maybe I've got a bit of an apology to make because they all ended up featuring on the pitch on Saturday. I do feel a bit like Marco Silva was pulling the wool over our eyes in terms of squad availability and injuries, but I'm not really complaining. It was really good to see all those players back out on the pitch. And hopefully we're going to Everton with a pretty clean bill of health, apart from Anthony Robinson, who is still missing. Silva is yet to do his Friday press conference, but there'll be updates on the Fulhamish website when that has happened. In terms of lineup then, this is kind of what I think Silva will go for, but I do think there are some areas where he could do something different. I think the defenders are pretty set in stone, as is the goalkeeper, obviously. But I think moving further up the pitch, there are a few more areas where changes could be made. First of all, looking at the midfield duo of Sanderberger and Sasha Lukic, Marco didn't play this combination against Wolves, which makes sense because Wolves was so easy to carve through and we wanted more attacking impetus. But Dan made a great point about this on Monday's podcast. Is this the kind of game where we go back to that duo? Is the bar high enough for Everton away to go back to a more defensive midfield duo? The left wing is also interesting. Kevin started there on Saturday, partly because, I assume, Alex Iwobi came into that midfield number 8 position to give us a slightly more attacking option in that space against a weak Wolves midfield. Will Silva stick with Kevin, remember our record signing, who I thought had a pretty good game on Saturday, or return to Iwobi in that position against his former club? Personally, I think Silva will go for Iwobi because he wants more defensive solidity in that midfield. He loves Iwobi. I don't think he'd be dropping him after Saturday's performance. Up top, it's a simple toss-up. Raul Jimenez or Rodrigo Muniz, who's just returned from injury. For me, Raul hasn't done anything to lose his place. I thought he was really effective against Wolves, even if he didn't get on the score sheet. But Marco likes to reward good performances, and just because the traditional number 1 in that position is returning, it doesn't mean that Raul will automatically get dropped. There was quite a nice moment when Muniz was subbed on, where the guys gave each other a hug, so you can tell that that relationship of them pushing each other is really working in the dressing room. Ultimately, now is a great time to capitalise. Everton have 1 win in their last 8 games, not a particularly good run of form. And yeah, their fixtures have included City, Spurs, Liverpool, but they've also included Wolves in the Cup, West Ham and Sunderland on Monday night, where they were comprehensively outplayed for most of the game. It would be really statement for this Fulham side to go to the Hill Dickinson and win, so I just hope we can pull it off. I hope you enjoy my chat with Dave. That's up next. The preview on Fulhamish is brought to you by My Kind of Cruise, the world's first cruise booking app and website. Whether you're a seasoned voyager or you're embarking on a different kind of away day for the very first time, My Kind of Cruise has got you covered, with unbeatable prices and all the options under the sun that you can think of, from ice fishing like Rodrigo Muniz to tours around the Mediterranean and Caribbean. My Kind of Cruise is founded by a fellow Fulham fan, and Fulhamish listeners can get an exclusive discount at checkout with the code Fulhamish. Just head to mykindofcruise.com or download the app from the Google Play or Apple App Store. Thank you so much for joining me today, Dave. Firstly, I wanted to ask about Everton's season so far. It seems from the outside, at least, that there's been a little bit more consistency under David Moyes than there has been under previous managers over the past few years, especially at home. There have been generally quite good results, bar that 3-0 against Spurs recently. However, you mentioned in our chat on your channel how you feel that things have not been super easy at Everton and that this game is looking really important on Saturday. How has it felt as an Everton fan this season?
Like I was saying on our chat before, it's we haven't had the greatest start. I mean, everyone can point to it and go, "Oh, well, you had that great result against Palace. You had the result of Brighton," but that's been literally it. We've kept a clean sheet against Villa, where we think we probably should have won that game. We've got players who have just firing blanks every week. Beto and Barry just aren't hitting the heights that we want them to. I think Jack Grealish has gone a bit off the boil a little bit. Same with Keenan Dewsbury-Hall. I think the one player that has been the standout has been Iliman and Ndiaye. But even defensively, we've looked shaky. We've looked, not the kind of solid defensive displays that we were showing last season, where we were keeping 13 clean sheets in a season. We always look cagey at the back and almost like there's a goal there to be conceded. So I think a lot of people will look at it and go, well, you haven't lost much, you've only lost one game at home and stuff like that, but the performances haven't been there, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned some of those players that have been a bit more dangerous. Obviously, Ndiaye is a standout one in terms of what he's been able to provide. I watched back the highlights from the Sunderland game, and the goal that he scored was phenomenal. Are there any other attacking talents that you want to shout out that are going to be able to hurt Fulham on Saturday?
I think if Moyes has got to play them first, and I think that's the big one. Obviously, Iliman and Ndiaye is an absolute wizard. That goal last night was just something he's got in his locker every time. If he gets that opportunity, he'll take it. He scored a similar goal against Spurs last season at home. Where he's picked it up and he just carried it like 30, 40 yards before slotting and just making it easy for himself. But the likes of Jack Grealish is probably one of the other danger men. But even, like James Garner, if he plays him, Charlie Alcaraz, who, turned the game for us against Palace the other week. But the big worry is our strikers, where our strikers just aren't hitting the heights. No one's scoring goals. Beto and Barry, they are very, very poor at the moment. Last night really didn't help. The chance that Barry had 3 yards out and puts it over the bar doesn't help himself, doesn't help David Moyes at all. And then to haul him off and bring on Beto, who had less than 5 touches in that second half, it just made it all the more frustrating. But your danger men are always going to be the ones that I'm talking about there: Dewsbury-Hall, Jack Grealish, Alcaraz and Ndiaye. But it's all down to our fullbacks giving them the support as well, because if you watched it last night, Grealish was double-teamed, isolated, as they do every week now. They know that if you isolate Jack Grealish with two defenders, that just completely nullifies our left wing, and our fullbacks aren't attacking enough. Mikalenko just doesn't make that kind of movement, so it's a tricky one for Everton. Everyone needs to be on it on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about how important this game is looking like, and I wanted to ask, is there any disappointment with how Moyes is selecting at the moment then? If you're saying that those attackers aren't getting onto the pitch, your strikers, or is it that you don't feel that they have the quality to start in the Premier League?
I think it's the quality, but we spent the entire summer chasing a young lad from Southampton and ended up spending the better half of 40 million on him. And he can't make the bench. It's just about making the bench. He's not making any kind of starting lineup or any impact from the bench, and it's disappointing to see. We've signed Tyler Diblin. We've got Melon Roll on loan with an 18 million obligation to buy. So if he doesn't play after the season, we've still got 18 million to pay. It just didn't make sense for some of the players that we bought. Similar with Tieno Barry. I know he was scoring goals in Spain, but obviously coming to the Premier League is a completely different beast, and he hasn't hit any kind of heights. But again, he's not being given a full 90 minutes. He hauled off after 65 minutes yesterday. Beto offered very little as a result. When he has played, he hasn't had a shot on goal yet. So it feels like at times that we've wasted a lot of money with these players at the moment. They might come good. There might be a change in the players and how they react, but at the moment it just feels like it's money that we've spent that we probably could have been spent better elsewhere.
Well, you mentioned Everton's fragilities defensively. I mean, obviously, starting goalkeeper is the goalkeeper for England. As a big England fan, I love Jordan Pickford. But in front of that, I assume there are a few weaknesses. Talk me through that and talk me through how Fulham will be able to hurt you on Saturday.
Well, the big miss, obviously, is Jarrett Branthwaite. He's been a big miss for the majority of the summer. He had a pre-season, very, very, very little pre-season, and then he's got injured, and then he's had to have an operation, which is going to keep him out till after Christmas. Michael Keane really has been our standout centre-half, and I think if you'd have said that in the summer to Evertonians, they'd have laughed at you, because, Michael Keane isn't... He hasn't had the best few years at Everton, but even Tarkowski has looked shaky lately. We're playing with Vitaly Mykolenko at left back, who is literally just a left back. He's not an attacking winger, similar to Anthony Robinson. That kind of player who gets up and down the pitch and defends well and creates stuff, makes things happen. We haven't got that, and we've been playing with a makeshift right back with Jake O'Brien probably since January. Because we've got two right backs in Seamus Coleman and Nathan Patterson. Seamus is, a great servant for the club, but he's done. Nathan Patterson can't get near the side because of injury, or he's just that bad. So we're having to play a centre half at right back, who, don't get me wrong, was absolutely superb for us last season, but I think that experiment's done. So I think Jordan Pickford has kept us in a lot of games over the last few weeks, and long may that continue. But if you saw the own goal last night, it's like he didn't need to stick a leg out. The ball's coming straight to Pickford. It's an easy take, but that's Everton's back line at the moment. And as we were saying there, when we've got Grealish and you've got Alcaraz and everyone else, we need those fullbacks to be supporting those players. And that's how you see Jack Grealish getting nullified very, very easily. It just doesn't work for Everton at the moment, and that's what needs to change. The manager needs to start looking at this side and going, okay, can my wingers do more? Do I need to bring in Tyler Dibblin, who's a winger? Do I need to maybe change my midfield? Do I need to take out Dewsbury Hall out of that 10th position and maybe bring in Mill and Roll? Who can I bring in that's going to make a difference in this side? Because Evertonians are looking at those substitutions last night and going, what the hell was he doing? So there's things that have got to change, but there's a lot of uncertainty at Everton that needs to just be clarified, especially with the players that we bought who aren't being used.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine that would be really frustrating to have players that have been bought. We had one at Fulham, our third choice striker, who was left off the bench even when we had no fit strikers, and everyone was very confused. But it seems that we've got at least most of our players back and able to put out a strong starting 11. It's Fulham fans' first time at the Hill Dickinson this Saturday. I'm really excited. I'm going. I can't wait. How have you guys settled in to the new stadium, and what can Fulham fans look forward to?
A world-class stadium, genuinely. Everyone raves over Tottenham Stadium in the south being absolutely stunning. You're going to find a little bit of transport issues, but if you're coming on by coach, you'll be fine. You'll be all right with that. But you are coming to a world-class stadium that is just finding its feet. Obviously, we hosted the rugby at the weekend, and everyone that I've seen on social media have just said the stadium's stunning. It's a far cry from Goodison Park. But the good thing is everything is still on top of the pitch, similar to the way Goodison Park was. The atmosphere still needs a lot of work. I think we're still finding our feet on where the atmosphere is going to come from. Obviously, Everton are a very reactive fan base, so everything comes from a good tackle, a shot at goal, a poor refereeing decision. That's how Evertonians get on their feet and how they start making noise, but we've got to start generating that more. I think Spurs, we were very quiet when there were some decisions that were just ridiculous, but we weren't making that known. And, it is a very loud stadium, and hopefully once we find our feet, it probably just needs a win, a really good win, convincing win to get people on side with the club and on side with the stadium. But it is unbelievable. We're a family fan base. We're very welcoming at Goodison Park. We're the same here. We've got an amazing fan plaza that there's bars there, there's food stalls. We've got 3 new bars outside the ground immediately as you leave. There's pubs propping up all along Regent Road. It's still early doors. It's still very brand new. But I think you'll enjoy your day. I mean, results aside, obviously I want that win, but and I hope we get that. But I think you'll enjoy actually being around there as well, because it's just stunning. The whole place is amazing just to see. And once you walk out onto the stairs, you'll be like, "What the hell is this?" I've done it. I'd still do it every time I walk out and go, "This is ours. This is Everton's." You know, and that's the. I don't want that to ever leave. I want to be able to walk up to any stand and go, "This is my club's. This is mine." You know, and that's the feeling I get every time.
I'm so excited. I really, really can't wait. To finish this off, we're not doing score predictions on the preview this season. We're doing something a little more exciting. So we're doing a prediction called 100 to 1. Instead of score prediction, something that's really outlandish, might not happen. And if it doesn't happen, nobody's expecting it, no harm done. But if it does, we clip it up, we put it on socials, and we look super, super smart. Dave, do you have a 100 to 1 prediction for me?
Well, when you sent that to me, I was looking at it, I was thinking, I'd have said like a Michael Keane hat-trick, but right now I'll take a Tieno Barry goal. You know, or a Tieno Barry shot on goal, which would be that kind of 100 to 1 shot for us at the moment. But yeah, I'll go for a Tieno Barry hat-trick rather than a Michael Keane one, because the way Michael Keane is playing, he probably could score a hat-trick if you'd actually put him up front. But I'll go for just for sheer the way he's playing, a Barry hat-trick.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm thinking a couple of players that have been with Everton, and also one that's been rumoured to move to Everton. So I'm thinking that Iwobi will score like he did last season, but this time he'll be assisted by a name that almost went to Everton in the summer, Kenny Tete.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to see it, but we will see. Thank you so much for joining me today, Dave.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, and thanks for joining our channel as well.
Yeah, I'll link our preview with Dave down in the description. And thank you for watching the preview. We'll be back on Saturday night with the quick take, hopefully celebrating 3 points, but you never know. Until then, come on, you Whites.